Welcome to a new video. Today I do want to focus on food and grocery shopping when it comes to living intentionally, minimally and sustainably. Food for me is just really an area that's complicated out of two reasons. Just because most of the industry is very intransparent, we know that there's a lot going on, we know that there are a lot of bad things happening. So I really kind of struggle when it comes to that perspective, living up to my values when it comes to choosing groceries and just food in general. And the other thing is that I think our relationship with food is very important. So all of the things that I'm gonna say in this video apply to me, apply to my life, are things that I've done and practices I do, but I do want to just encourage you to have a good as possible relationship with food. Make sure you get food, make sure you get nutrients, but I think that's more important than trying to be perfect. This video is actually sponsored by Gebana, which is a brand I'd really like to share with you because I think they're doing an amazing job when it comes to transparency and just sustainability and educating consumers on how to shop more ethically and sustainably when it comes to groceries, but also like doing a lot for the producer side. But I'm gonna talk more about them later, and I have 5 tips or 5 things for you today that I follow, that I try to do. So I need to go grocery shopping today, and the first thing I did is make a list. If you want to know more of how I made this list, I'm gonna link you a video up here that I made last year about my grocery shopping routine. I think that can be helpful. Making a list can avoid so much food waste, and food waste, I mean, the whole process has been made from like growing the food and everything, shipping it to you, being in your fridge, and then it goes to waste. That's a really sad thing. So I really try to avoid that as much as possible. I think having a list is something that really helps. And when I make my list, I also check my fridge and all the other stuff we have to make sure that I'm not forgetting about something that I still have in my house that needs to be used. And now I have my list, and I'm gonna go to grocery store to buy the things to have food for next week. So this is what I got today for grocery shopping for the next week. And now I also want to say more about Gebana and why they're sponsoring today's video. Because we're not only getting groceries from the grocery store, just because not everything is available at the grocery store and not everything is available in the best way at the grocery store. So one way we also get groceries is in a fruit and veggie box, and right now it's about 5 kilograms of fruits and veggies every week. And we also recently got a huge package of like nuts from Gebana. They basically just sent me a bunch of different kinds of nuts that I buy myself to normally at the supermarket, but Gebana has a lot of advantages compared to when I just buy them in the supermarket. So as a brand, they have the slogans, "We are changing the rules." And by that, they really mean that they want to change the whole process of like how food is grown, how people are treated, how the product comes to Europe, especially when it comes to stuff that's not growing locally here in Europe. Now, I talked about 5 things I want to tell you, and the second thing is cook from scratch. And that doesn't seem to have something to do with nuts, but let me tell you, it does, for me at least. I think when you cook from scratch, that has many advantages when we talk about simple, sustainable, intentional eating. The first one is we really get to know the ingredients and the process. And so we can better choose what's in our food and, for example, how much sugar to add or how long to cook it, things like that. So it makes it possible to take more control over our food. And so I choose to cook from scratch as much as possible. So what do cooking from scratch and nuts have in common? So especially since I focus on eating more plant-based meals and cooking more plant-based meals, I've come to love using nuts for sauces, for curries, just instead of like cream. I just use cashews in many recipes, but I wanted to show you like the comparison of what's available in my supermarket, like the most sustainable one, and what I got from Gebana. So at my supermarket, I bought this package. It has 250 grams of cashew in there. And all I know is that it's not from the EU and that it's organic. but I do not know the country where it's coming from. I do not know who exported it. I do not know anything about like the condition the people are working. I do not know from where it has been shipped to where else. So I basically know almost nothing. And the problem is like that I cannot make like an informed choice because I do not have any information. Whereas these are from gebana and this is like 1 kilogram. So comparing like the plastic, this is, I think, maybe half the size, half the amount of plastic, but it has like a quarter of the weight. So this is way less plastic. I can already see the country of origin, which is a huge difference to the other one. And I can look it up on their website, and there we will find a lot more information than what we have from the cashews from the supermarket. And on their website, they actually have a map where it is possible to see every single producer of their products, and you can learn more about their families and when they joined. So gebana is directly working together with these families and businesses, also to make sure that they are not just like importing from somebody that's buying from somebody that's buying from somebody, to just make sure that they actually also know where stuff is coming from. They can learn from the people there because, you know, they are the people that produce these cashews. And something else that's maybe good to know about cashews. Cashews mostly grow in Western Africa, and they grow on a tree with a fruit that's, in German it's called a cashew apple. But the actual cashew is just a really, really small part of the whole fruit. But then the cashew is exported to Asia because there it's a bit less expensive to like crack them and actually make it a product that you can eat. But it is 5 times the weight of the actual cashew nut that's exported per cashew nut to Asia. So there's like a huge shipping thing going on, a lot of resources wasted, a lot of like emissions created. And the problem is also that why are you taking this product from Western Africa where people grow it, where people also could like process it further, but you ship it thousands of kilometers to Asia, and there are people under horrible conditions because the cashews, when you crack them, they have substances that can be very harsh on your hands. So they are cracked there, leaving people with injuries sometimes, and then they're brought to Europe, for example. So what gebana is doing is that they are changing the rules there as well. They are keeping the cashews in Burkina Faso so that they can get cracked there to avoid the shipping, to avoid all the emissions, to avoid taking away like work from where it is, and also to make sure just that the whole process is more ethical. So they can ensure that people do not get hurt in Burkina Faso when cracking these cashews. And then they ensure that the cashews are brought from there to Europe, for example, and not end up on like a journey around the world to reach us. Like that, they can save packaging because it doesn't need to be packaged multiple times. There's a lot more transparency. The money and the value just stays where the cashew is actually produced. Another thing that they're doing to avoid food waste and wasting resources in general is that they use the whole thing. So they use the cashew apple. You can buy that on gebana's website. You can buy like cashews that are whole, or you can buy cashews that are like mine, cracked and just small pieces, because I don't care if I use them for a sauce and mix them up anyways, or like crash them even further. I think that's also something that's amazing and important to consider, that sometimes we're eating just a small part of something and the rest goes to waste. And buying from gebana, I can ensure that that's not the case. Talking about ethical and transparent production, I have a few key factors here that they do in Burkina Faso to ensure that people are treated ethically and well. So these include benefits such as being able to leave work when you're pregnant before you give birth, being able to stay home with your baby after birth, being able to, like, they provide daycare for children, also a hospital for people that are sick. And I think this is just something that's maybe normal in Europe, but you don't have to go far so that it's not normal again. I think huge parts of the world don't offer that, or many employers do not. And I think it's really important because it's just, if these things are not given, then it's especially hard for women and families to work. And so I do really appreciate the transparency that I can get through Gebana's products, to be sure that what I'm buying is actually supporting my values, is actually, you know, I'm pushing in the right direction with my money. And now let's get back to like the third point I like doing when I buy groceries in general, and it's going for bigger packaging. And yes, packaging is not everything, but it can add up, because for almonds, for example, I have bought these 2 packets of almond, and there's a lot of plastic already, but it's just 200 grams each. And this one is a lot less plastic for 1 kilogram of almonds. And that's the same with many different products. Of course, sometimes it makes sense to have small packaging or offer small packages of stuff. But if I need to buy like 3 of the same item every single week, then it's just a lot of plastic and packaging wasted. The other side of this is that it's a lot more like stress-free, simple and minimalist if I can buy things that don't like get bad easily in a bigger packaging, because then I don't have to worry about it every single week. I don't have to buy, you know, new almonds every single week if I could just have like 1 big package. Of course, I can also now buy just 20 and start buying again in 10 weeks. But if I can, I get stuff in bigger packaging just to save some of the plastic or the packaging, whatever it is made of, but also to make my life a lot more like stress-free and simple. And then the fourth thing that's really important to me when buying, and I'm sure you already know it now, is that the stuff should be as sustainable and ethical as possible. That is something that I want to apply to my whole life, but I think the problem is that while it's easy for me when it comes to like furniture, because I do only need to buy a piece of furniture maybe once or twice a year, then I can like take my time, look around, find it secondhand and be 100% happy with my choice. But when it comes to food, this is the thing that I buy most often. So I have to make like 100 purchasing decisions each week, and each of them can be less or more sustainable and ethical. And so it's sometimes a struggle. We have to decide between organic, plastic-free, big packaging, convenience, price, origin, availability. There's just so many things to consider, but Gebana definitely is one thing that I can recommend, because they offer a lot of like staples, and of course I can store it so I don't have to like buy it each and every week, so I can just buy it every few months and be stocked up with products that I can ensure that they are as sustainable as possible and as ethical as possible. And then the last thing is local eating, and I think that's a challenge. Like, as you know, all of these nuts are not local to Germany, and especially not local to like my neighborhood. But even for products like, for example, onions, they grow in Germany. They kind of grow all year round, but at supermarkets, oftentimes if you don't check carefully, you might buy onions from China. So instead of just trying to eat as local as possible, not knowing how my food is grown, I try to eat as transparent as possible. So I try to check like the labels and make sure that when I buy a product, even though I think, oh, that must grow here, it should be local, it can come from the opposite side of the world. It's complicated and everybody has to find their values there. For me, I'm not forbidding myself to eat not local stuff like these nuts, or also fruit and vegetable from other places of the world. But of course, if I'm buying it from somewhere else, I try to ensure that I make it in a sustainable way. Here I also want to let you know that you should maybe check out Gebana's website, because they do offer a lot of like exotic fruits from different places of the world, but in a really, really sustainable way, because you can like order it in advance and then it's shipped directly from there to you without much going back and forth or cooling and storing. You can pre-order it and you will get it to your house whenever it's in season. And I've done that with mango so far, and I think the experience was great. The food looked good. We ate them all, or I have some in the freezer still. And I think it's just a very, very good way to consume exotic products just in the most sustainable way possible. Now I also want to leave you a code for 10 euros off orders above 40 euro when you check out Gebana. It's here on the screen, and I will also link it down below in the description, as well, of course, as the link to their website so you can check out these products. They are available in many European countries. And thank you, Gebana, for sponsoring this video. So the groceries are put away. I am done for a week. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I think it's something where we can really do a lot, but where I also think it's important to avoid like anxiety because we're overwhelmed. So I can highly recommend you check out Gebana. Let me know how you think about the whole topic when it comes to minimalism and sustainability and ethical production of our groceries. And now I will link you my grocery shopping routine. It's about 1 year old, but it's still very up to date. So check it out if you're interested to know more about me and eating and groceries and sustainability and minimalism. And I hope to see you right there. Bye!